Hi everybody, today I'm going to be reviewing the Jolie short corset made by Glamorous Corset. So here's the front, the side, the back, and the other side. So Glamorous Corset already has the Jolie longline corset, which I reviewed a couple of years ago, and now they've released a short version of it for people who have the curves for the Jolie corset but not the torso length. So this fits me like a cincher, but for somebody with a very short torso, say 8 inches or less, or if they're very short in stature, say less than 5 feet, and proportionally their torso's shorter as well, this corset may very well fit them like a regular underbust corset. So the center front here is 9 inches. The princess seam here at the shortest part, it's 6.5 inches, and that measures 3.5 inches above the waist and 3 inches below the waist when taking it from the bottom of the waist tape here. On the side seam, it comes longer over the side of the hip here, as you can see. So this comes down to 9 inches, and the center back is 10 inches. Today I'm wearing the size 22, and when I measured it brand new straight out of the box, it did measure true at 22 inches closed waist. The rib cage here measured 28 inches, so it has a 6-inch rib spring, which is the same as they say on their website. And when I measured the hip, it actually had a 9-inch hip spring. It measured 31 inches. Now on the website it says that the Jolie short has a 6-inch hip spring, but it could be that they measured the hip a little bit higher up than I did. I tried to take the lowest possible measurement without, kind of like going underneath this area here. So I actually measured a 9-inch hip spring, and so again, like I mentioned with some of my previous reviews, this actually fits my body better than if it were truly a 6-inch hip spring. So whether this is an anomaly in the measurements or whether we have different methods of measuring, in any case, this actually fits my body more comfortably. So I'm not particularly complaining about the difference in measurements. This is a fairly curvy corset for its length, so I think it is a fairly versatile design where it can fit squishier, straight-figured people, and also it can fit on moderate to mild reductions on very hourglass people who are already curvy. However, if you have a particularly long torso, then you may notice, especially if you squish up, that you get a little bit of spillover or a little bit of muffin above the top edge of the corset, because I have about 2.5 inches between the top edge of this corset and where my underwire starts. So do keep in mind that if you do tie it a little bit on the tighter side, you will get some of this fluff here. Likewise, if you have a lower tummy that you would like to have covered and supported and flattened, I would recommend going with the longer Jolie corset or just a different longer corset in general, as opposed to the Jolie short, because the corset cannot support and flatten what it doesn't touch. But apart from those considerations and fit, I think that the Jolie short has pretty lovely contour in the top and bottom edges. It's slightly pointed at the top, slightly pointed at the bottom. I love how it sweeps a little bit further down over the side of the hip as opposed to going just cut over in a simple manner. And it sweeps up a little bit at the top edge and the bottom edge so that it's fairly straight across at the top and bottom in the back. Because this corset is so short, it's kind of hard to see if there is any like cupping of the rib cage, but from what I can see and feel, it is fairly conical through the ribs, and it's pretty straight out through the hips as well. So I would say that it's not like a U-shape kind of sweeping gradual silhouette. I would say that it's more in the conical category. So let's go to the tabletop portion of this review and I can show you the other details of this corset close up. So here is the Jolie short corset laid flat, and for the materials, 3 main layers. The fashion fabric is black cotton twill. It has a cotton interlining in between the layers as well, and the lining is also black cotton twill. Here's what the Glamorous Corset label looks like, and you can see the fabric content and the cleaning instructions. And the size is at the top here by the binding on both sides of the corset. And turning this corset to the side, it's a 6-panel pattern. It is modeled after the Jolie long line corset, so it's a similar pattern. It's just obviously, shorter. So yeah, 6-panel pattern. 1, 2, 3 makes the front, 4, 5, 6 makes the back. As usual, and just like with their Jolie corset, the first two panels converge down so that the bones come down on, over the lower tummy for a little bit more support. Most of the curve over the hip happens in panels 3 and 4 here. There's quite a bit of ease for the rib cage in panels 3, 4, and 5 here as well. And panel 6 is fairly vertical. And just like with all of their other corsets by Glamorous Corset, this was constructed using the welt seam method. So instead of having, the fashion fabric all assembled together and then the lining all assembled together and then putting them wrong sides together, what they did instead was they sort of flatlined all the layers of panel 1. So the layers of panel 1 are sandwiched in between the layers of panel 2, and then panel 2 is sandwiched in between the layers of panel 3, and so on. So all of the seam allowances are facing towards the back of the corset, and you can see there's a top stitch on the lining side and also on the fashion fabric side here. And because of the way that the welt seam method works, because it's a multi-layer corset, it allows the creation of boning channels as you go. And you might be able to see the outline of the waist tape right here. So it is invisibly stitched between the layers, 1 inch wide, and it's running right here from the center front at the busk, and it's running all the way back to at least panel 6 here. The binding is made from bias strips of matching black cotton twill, and it's machine stitched on both the outside and the inside. So on the outside you can see that they stitched in the ditch, and on the inside you can see that there is a necessary seam allowance here. Like I mentioned with my previous Glamorous Corset reviews, perhaps one of the reasons why they decided to just serge this or overlock it and then stitch it flat is to reduce bulk, because if they had folded it over one more time, that would have made the binding very, very bulky. But the way that it's finished here, it's not going to fray. Additionally, there are 6 garter tabs in this corset, 3 on each side. The Modesty panel in this corset is 5.5 inches wide, so it would cover a lacing gap of about 3.5 to 4 inches. It's unstiffened and it's sewn onto one side of the corset here. So if you don't like Modesty panels, you can just take a seam ripper and remove it, but it will probably take away these labels here. And it's finished in 2 layers of black cotton twill. Additionally, there is a Modesty placket extending out from the knob side of the busk. It's 1/4 inch wide, unstiffened, and finished in black cotton twill as well. And the busk in this corset is quite short. It is 8 inches long, and it has 4 loops and pins. The last 2 are a little bit closer together for a little bit more control over the tummy here. And it is a standard width flexible bust, so 1/2 inch on each side, and about standard rigidity as well. This corset has a total of 24 bones, 12 on each side. It's double boned on the seams with 1/4 inch wide spirals, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And you can see that these all attract my magnet here. And additionally, there are 2 1/4 inch wide flat steel bones sandwiching the grommets, and this attracts my magnet less. Like I explained with all of my other Glamorous Corset reviews, I was suspicious when I couldn't feel the pull of the magnet very well in the back here. So I opened up some old Glamorous Corsets, and they use stainless steel flat steel bones. So stainless steel contains less iron, and that's how it resists rusting. But it also means that because it's less ferrous, it is also less magnetic, and that's why it attracts my magnet less. And here's a close-up of the grommets. There are a total of 22 of them, 11 on each side. They are size 00 with a small to medium flange around them and finished in silver. And they are set a little bit less than 1 inch apart. I noticed that with their shorter corsets, like their cinchers or their waspies, they do tend to put the same or similar number of grommets in them, but closer together. And here's the underside of the grommets, nice big washers here. There is 1 or 2 splits in each of these grommets, but they don't catch on the laces because the laces are abrasion resistant. But you can see that the grommets are all holding in fairly nicely. And the laces in this corset are your standard workhorse shoelace style laces. So they are 1/4 inch wide, black, flat nylon laces. They have a little bit of spring to them, but they're very difficult to break. They are abrasion resistant, so they resist catching and ripping on any splits in the grommets. It's not too slippery, and it holds the knots and the bows well. If you feel that there's too much lace in this corset, you can cut it down to your preferred length. Just make sure that you don't cut too much. The Jolie corset is available in black cotton from sizes 18 inches closed waist up to 40 inches closed waist, and it's $84. It's the same price for all sizes. It does not cost any more for the plus size versions. And Glamorous Corset also offers free 2-day shipping within the US, and they are also able to ship anywhere worldwide. And this concludes my review of the Jolie short corset made by Glamorous Corset. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something new. If you did, please remember to click that like button down there as it helps support this channel. If you have this corset or a different corset by Glamorous Corset, feel free to leave a comment down below and let us know what you think of it. And if you have any comments or questions about this corset or Glamorous Corset in general, also feel free to leave your questions down below. I'd be happy to get back to you or forward your questions over to Rachel of Glamorous Corset. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you all next week for another video.